Nika was very important, right? And what is the common theme here, right? Black women, Spanish women, minorities. That is the theme here. Minorities giving other minorities an opportunity to speak, especially females, right? You know, they be on these apps and dudes always call them dumb and stupid. And this comes to my next guest because this person I've been watching for years. She has her own show, right? On Nothing But Knicks. Shout outs to Nothing But Knicks, my guy Sim. Sim, man, I appreciate you, OG. Sim, my God, man. Sim, that's the OG right there. Right? OG Sim, he showed love. First time I ever met Sim, he showed me mad love. Every time I pull up the Sim show and pull up the Sim get together, he does it at Legends downtown. Every time I pulled up, it's mad love. Shout out to my guy Legion. We get into it on Twitter all the fucking time yet. All the time, me and Legion get into it. In person, it's mad love. I had a dude say to me today, shouts to Ariel. Oh my God, that's my God too. Shouts to Ariel. Shouts to you, D Block. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I'm putting in work. Ariel said, yo, State, you mad cool in person. Yeah, bro. What the fuck you think? I'm gonna curse you out? Bro, I wanna win. With that said, this lady, she has her own show, Queen's Court, on Nothing But Knicks. She also has her own YouTube channel, Dope Soul Sports. God bless me if I'm wrong right now. With that said, I gotta bring the queen into the building. Gotta bring the queen into the building, Queen Steph. Hey, finally.
Oh man, how you doing, State? Congrats to you. You got your own YouTube channel now. You was always doing your thing on the audio podcast, so it's just cool to see you taking this step.
Thank you. I want to be like y'all. I think y'all was very important, especially the women. You know, I love watching your show, Queen's Court. A lot of lovely ladies on there. With that said, I guess we could get right into this Knicks talk. And this is not my show. This is actually your show. I would love for you to tell the people, your upbringing, siblings, where you're from, and things of that nature. Even before we get into, and then you could lead it into why did you become a Knick fan, and where did that love come from?
Absolutely. Wow. Let me see where I'm gonna start. I am a Brooklynite, born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. I was raised by my mom. May she rest in peace. It was me, my mom, and my sister growing up in Brooklyn, New York, and my extended family. Shout out to them. They all helped, raise us. My mom as a single parent. I went to school in New York. It's funny. I grew up, in Bed-Stuy, but around 8 years old, we moved to Ocean Avenue, and I was big into sports. We played basketball out with the boy. It was no distinction between the boys and the girls. We played together, where it was stoop ball. If you're from Brooklyn, you know what stoop ball is. Basketball. We used to bring up a garbage can up against the building, and we would play basketball 3-on-3, 5-on-5, shooting in a garbage can. And when I actually went to a park and to shoot at a rim, this is at PS 92 in Brooklyn. It just translated. I was able to do a layup on on a regular hoop. I love basketball. I'm not sure how. Just from playing on the street, I turned on the TV one day. Basketball was on, and I just fell in love with it. This was probably in the early 80s. I fell in love with it. It was Dr. J first, then it was Magic Johnson, then it was the Knicks, then it was Georgetown. And when the Knicks drafted Patrick Ewing, I was watching it on TV, and we got the number 1 pick, 255 Ocean Avenue. The entire building shook. Everybody was excited that we got Patrick. We got Patrick.
Real quick, Queen. Tell us more about that night, please. Tell us more.
Oh, man, for me, it was just me and my sister. My mom wasn't, into sports. And we was just sitting there, watching the draft. I was following Patrick Ewing through Georgetown. I fell in love with Patrick Ewing in Georgetown every game. That was my guy. That's how dynamic he was, particularly on the defensive end. I fell in love with the defense. And, the Knicks were struggling. Truck Robinson and Pat Cummings, God bless them. They was out there doing their thing. But we needed an infusion of talent. Louis Orr, all that. We needed an infusion of talent. And when that envelope, back when they was doing the envelopes, I forgot who it was, got that number 2 pick, and we knew that last envelope was ours. I'm thinking I'm watching it, I don't know about everybody else in the building. I'm just watching the draft. The entire building shook. The only time I felt a building shake like that was Hurricane Sandy, when I was right here in my house and Hurricane Sandy came and shook the building like that. I was nervous. The only other time was on Ocean Avenue. Forgot how old I was at the time when we drafted Patrick Ewing. And the Knicks' fortunes changed after that, for sure. But I want to talk a little bit about college. Is that okay? Do we got time?
As much time as you want.
In high school, at the time in high school, I went to Clara Barton High School. They had a really good basketball program. I didn't have enough nerve. I didn't think I was good enough to try out for the team. So I didn't try out my freshman year. I didn't try out my sophomore year. I tried out my junior year and I made the team because I was tall. I really wasn't. I really wasn't good enough, to play. I didn't really understand the game that well. I can make layups and what have you, but how to post up. If you're double teamed, if somebody is double, if your person goes to double team, you're supposed to duck to the front of the rim. Like those parts, I just didn't know. But I got recruited anyway, again, because I was tall, to Hunter College at first, and then the City College of New York coach, Gary Smith, may he rest in peace, called me and said, you don't have to go to Hunter. We want you to come to City College. And he took care of the transfer. And I went to City College, Division III basketball, City College of the City University of New York in Harlem. Shout out to Harlem. Those first 2 years, I was mad trash, though. I was mad trash. Those girls, Monique Rod, Dawn Bovon, Hilda Cruz, they knew how to play, and I didn't. So the first 2 years, I sat on the bench. And that's why, when we go through my history of basketball, I've done it all, from sitting in the bench to being one of the best players on the team, whereas if I didn't show up, our chances of winning was diminished, But those first 2 years, I barely played. I think I scored 37, 38 points in 2 years combined. I sat out between now I was a SNYK student, for those who understand who SNYK was at the time. So I was in a program to graduate in 5 years instead of 4. So I sat out my middle year. I was the manager. I got a chance to kind of watch the team from the bench, those sorts of things. And I met this guy, Larry Fuller, out of Coney Island. May he rest in peace. This guy, he was running a gym in Starrett City. And I would go down to him and he would just, he would work with me. He would work with me on my game. But more than anything, he worked with me on my mentality. And he used to tell me, he said, listen, those other girls on the team, they're going to help you, but they're going to help you only but so much so that you can help them. They ain't going to help you be really good, because you might take their spot, and he just kind of taught me the mental aspect of the game. At the same time, while we working on conditioning, we working on posting up, we working on rebounding. I lost a lot of weight that summer as well, because I was always overweight. I lost a lot of stomach weight. I came back my junior year, killing. I was one of the best players on the team. My junior and senior year. the 4 years that I played at CCNY, we went to the conference championship and won it all 4 years. The first 2, like I said, I was on the bench. The second 2, I was a big part of. And one thing about me, you know how I was always a better playoff player than I was a regular season player. I was good in the regular season. I was a really, really good rebounder, particularly an offensive rebounder. I just had a knack for it. So like what Mitchell Robinson is doing, just his knack for the offensive boards, that's how I played. You know, I played in the post as well. I had a nice shot. I was able to hit free throws. And in 2 years, after only scoring 37 points my first 2 years, I think my last 2 years I scored like 750 something points. 2 championships where I was a big part of. One of them where I was I think my senior year, I was the MVP of the tournament, 20 points, 21 rebounds, like a 20-20. And then I went on to coach at City College. I coached at the City College of New York for 9 years. And I think my overall record was under 500, but we had some really good years there. 3 conference championships, 1 NCAA bid. It was an automatic bid. And so when I'm talking about basketball, I'm not saying I'm right, because I'm not. I don't care if you played in the NBA. This is what we're doing here. We're just giving our opinions. I don't care if you played in the NBA. That doesn't mean what you're saying is right and what I'm saying is wrong, but I'm just pointing out what I'm drawing on when I'm talking. I know what it's like to prepare for a championship game as both a player and a coach. I don't care if it's Division III. I don't care if it's bitty basketball. I don't care if it's junior college. How to get yourself physically and mentally prepared to play in a championship game. That process is the same regardless of the level that you play at. I know what it's like to coach in a championship game. I coached in 3 of them, all 3 as an underdog, as a matter of fact, and how 3 turnovers in the 10 minutes, you might not get an opportunity to recover from that, because, you know, in college, it's sudden death. So that's what I bring. That's what I'm drawing on when I'm talking and giving my opinion, you know, on the Queen's Court or on the Just Knickin' It weekly show or on my podcast. So when guys are and women as well are getting super excited about what the team is doing in the regular season and what this guy is doing in the I'm excited too. But I'm not super excited because I understand that from personal experience, playing in championship games, coaching in championship games, I understand from personal experience that the playoffs are different. It's different in high school from the regular season. It's different in college from the regular season. It's different in the NBA. So I can't get super excited. For me, it's about the playoffs because I've seen players on my team and I've seen players that I coach wilt in the playoffs because of the intensity of it. You understand? So people, sometimes they call me a Debbie Downer. Oh, you being so negative. From experience, I got to see how you perform in the playoffs. I don't want to hear nothing about no regular season, nothing. I've seen it already. I've experienced. What are you doing in the playoffs? That's it. This team right here, I do think, on paper at least, is a championship contending team. But we're not going to know that for sure until they get in the playoffs and start going through the paces. Who's wilting? Who's not? We don't know right now. We haven't been in the second round Eastern Conference final, so we don't know. I'm happy about where we are. It's a start, but we're going to really find out about this team when they get into the playoffs. So that's my story. I love the game of basketball. That era with Pat Riley, Van Gundy, Thibodeau, Patrick Ewing, Mason, that's my era. Those were the dogs. Those are the guys that came out. They wasn't ducking no smoke. You know what I mean? And I like that Thibodeau. I can't say I agree with everything Thibodeau does, but I like that he brought that part to this Knicks team. They come out, they play 48. When he first got here, you can't wait until you're a championship team to start developing championship habits. You got to start that 3, 4, 5, well before you become a championship team. And that's what Thibodeau bought. These guys learned how to approach the game, learned how to, you know, break down film, how to take care of their bodies, how to show up every night, you know, for yourself, for the organization. They learned that well before they became championship contenders. And that's what I like about Tips, because that's what Pat Riley talked about. When I was coaching, Pat Riley was the coach. Say what you want to say about Pat Riley and how he laughed and all of that. When I was coaching at City College, Pat Riley was the coach. I love Pat Riley because I was a huge Magic Johnson fan. I only got 4 favorite basketball players, period. Magic Johnson is one of them. I used to watch the Lakers all the time, watch Pat Riley all the time. When he became the Knicks coach, I used to watch Pat Riley in the pregame, watch the Knicks, catch Pat Riley in the postgame. That was my guy. And everything, most of the things, the league has changed that Tom Thibodeau was talking about in terms of culture and approach to the game. A lot of that he got from, you know, Pat Riley. When I listen to Tom Thibodeau, you close your eyes, that's Pat Riley. That's that's Van Gundy in terms of the approach, the mental. I'm talking about more the mental approach. You know, Tom ain't playing guys. He is playing them 40-something minutes, but they not also turning around the next day and having a 3-hour practice like, you know, Pat Riley would do. But I think that's my basketball story in a nutshell.
That's great. That's great. Like I said, like this is not my show. Like I told the two wonderful ladies who was on with me earlier, this is not my show. This is y'all show. This is ladies' day today, and I appreciate all of the ladies that pulled up. Before I ask you this next question, because I think it's going to be a great question, let me show love to the chat. Shout outs to Riri who pulled up. Let me try to show all y'all love, man. Shout outs to Miss Queen, man. I appreciate you, Queen, for pulling up,
Of course,
OG.
I appreciate you.
Riri, I appreciate you. I see people from your side, yeah, and Coach, sorry, I haven't seen him in dumb long. Jesus, bro.
Coach, always supporting. Appreciate you.
Jesus, Coach, I never see you in dumb long. Sacramento beat the Magic. Knicks back in the fourth
Here
seed.
we go.
Almighty
Here we
fourth. The almighty fourth is here again. Salute, Queen. D Block once again, man. You been pulling up all day today. Ebony, I'm still here. Had to come through to show love for Queen Steph. Thank you, Eb.
Ab, man. Ab doing her thing. Venture Sports Network, Nick of Time. Appreciate you.
Yo, appreciate you, Eb. Oh, BSA quick. Love it.
Appreciate you,
Love
VSN
it.
Queen.
Appreciate you, Queen. Try to who else? Come on, coach. We ain't doing that tonight. We ain't doing that tonight. Not on ladies' night. If Queen want to talk about that, we can. I'll get back to that later. Not right now. We ain't doing that.
Lady and the Chef. Salute.
Yo, salute.
2 Knicks chicks.
Who else we got in here? Oh my God, D boy, what's up, man? Yeah, BK, stand up, BK in the building, Harlem in the building. Appreciate that. Yeah, man, appreciate that. Let me scroll down here a little more. 2 Knicks with clicks. Haven't seen this profile in a long time. Was good. Appreciate you.
Eva Locks. Lady and the
Man,
Chef.
we got Queen Steph here. From King D. Shout out to my guy D. Hit that like and subscribe for the both of us.
Yep.
Need y'all. Y'all is very important. Who is that? Who that? Stephen A? Well, Stephen State in the building, you heard.
You go. There you go.
Stephen State in the building, you heard. J Book, this here is big. State, you a monster for this one. The Queen giving us some of a history. Salute to the orange and blue family. Hit that like button. Salute. 3
Salute, J Boogie. Always supporting.
Yes. And me and J Bo, was on the phone last week, so we definitely want to cook up something. I'm just trying to get let me get my mentals right, J Bo, as far as that's concerned. And I got you, I promise. With that said, let me go right to the super chat. Appreciate Greg too, that's in the chat, man. And my guy Freeman. Art Man, formerly known as Steve, right? Says the super chat. Queen, I got a 12-year-old daughter who's exceptional school-wise, who's about to start basketball. I'm gonna need your expertise. We
They from
from
Coney
Coney
Island.
Island.
That's where Larry Fuller was from. Coney Island, man. Salute to Coney Island.
Oh, appreciate it. Oh, y'all booming in the chat, my lord. Let me ask you this question, Queen, because like, this is your show. My fault, man. I had to
PhD
shout out the chat. What's harder, playing or coaching?
coaching.
Why?
Playing, because playing, you just responsible for yourself. You got to make sure you show up. Hopefully you have your routine. I have my routine to help me get my mind right prior to the game. How to stay physically in shape. You just responsible for yourself so that you can show up for the team. You coaching, there's a lot of moving parts. It's you, it's your assistant coaches, it's your players who are on different levels, fundamentally, physically, mentally. Uh, there's the opponent, there's the, getting your offenses and defenses together. It's the bench coaching, it's the motivation. Coaching is definitely harder. And coaching is not black or white. It's not black or white. There's nothing you're supposed to do in every single situation. There's always a lot of factors that bear on any decision you make in a game. I mean, some of it is, if somebody picks up 2 fouls in the first 5 minutes of a game, usually you take them out. Like, that's standard. But, for all of the other stuff, it just depends. I used to have my friends would come to the game and they sit in the stands and they like, what the hell she do? What's she doing? Why she put so and so in? Why they not, why they not trapping? Why they not? And then afterwards, yo, why you did this? And then when I explain it, they be like, oh, okay, we understand. When you sitting on the bench, you don't understand all of the factors that's going into the decisions that you make. That being said, I can't tell you how many times afterwards I said, man, I should have did such and such. Any coach that's honest about the process afterwards was saying, maybe I should have put in that zone. Maybe I should have put so and so back in, or maybe I shouldn't have took so and so, out. All coaches do that. Hindsight is 2020. All coaches do that. But in the moment, it's not black or white. There's a lot of, it's a lot of moving parts. So coaching was definitely harder.
Coaching specifically, and shout out to the chat once again. Oh, it's your chat booming too. Queen, salute, blessings and love on Dios NYK. On D, I appreciate all of y'all, man. Pat was a loser as of right, but salute the Queen from Milan. Go Knicks fourth seed tonight. Appreciate that.
Salute, Angel.
Salute. Just sticking with the coaching stuff because I think I didn't even know that about you. So like now I'm intrigued. So now like the coaching questions. Now I gotta ask you like coaching questions real quick because I'm trying to get into the mind of Tom Thibodeau, and maybe you can help me tonight. So my bad if I'm just asking like these random questions that come to my mind, but the coaching aspect of playing offense and defense, which side of the ball is harder to coach and why?
I think offense is harder to coach. Um, you got to have skilled players for the offensive side. Defense, even if a player is not a great shooter, even if they don't understand the game that much, you could teach them how to stay in front of that person. You could teach them, what to do if you have weak side responsibilities. So I think defense is easier because there's a bigger hustle component. There's a bigger effort component on the defensive end. I'm not saying skill doesn't come into play. It does. But if you have somebody with a high motor, given a lot of effort, lateral quickness, whether they understand the game or not, whether they're very skilled on the offensive end, you can get something out of that player defensively. On the offensive end, it's about skill, it's about shooting, it's about timing, it's about playing together, it's about learning certain things. Like I mentioned earlier, if your person goes to double team, you automatically should roll to the front of the rim because that person who got double teamed, that's where they're looking or should be looking most of the time. So it takes time to learn the offensive, part. Um, and also depending and to run offensive sets. You know, in high school, maybe, and sometimes even in college, you just run a set with just one or two options off of it. If you don't have a highly skilled team, if you do, you can run a motion offense. You know, we used to run pro sets when we got to the point where we had 5 players and they knew how to play and they knew how to read off of each other. We would run mostly a read and react offense where look at what the defense is doing. If they overplaying, you cut back door. We don't have to tell you that. That's not part of a, you know, that's not part of a play. But you got to have skilled players, high IQ players, to do that. So yeah, I think the offensive side of the ball is harder to teach. Depending on, it could be easy if you got high level players. It can be easy.
So, just talking about the journey, you told me how you became a Knick fan, why. So let's go through a little, you know, history lesson per se. Shout outs to my mom today. She was watching Wizard of Oz, but she was watching Oz, the black version. And this is probably my first time watching it. I'm so sorry, black folk. Don't kill me. It's my oh my God. And I'm watching the people and I'm looking at, I'm like, oh, this is fire. This is dope. So I'm like, all right, you know what? I heard you say a couple of names from 80s Knicks. So let's take a little journey down the road. The early 80s, you know, those Knicks, Michael Ray Richardson, we all know, I believe he was kicked out of the league due to substance abuse. He was definitely playing for the New York Knicks, and the Knicks did have a player coat usage problem, and they did have a player problem as far as, you know, keeping these guys out of trouble in New York. 80s Knicks, you just got Patrick Ewing, you feeling like the culture's changing, and a guy who I wrote about the other day, shouts to Substack, Bernard King. He gets hurt. I believe him and Patrick Ewing only played 5 games together in total. So talk to us about the 80s Knicks, man. Why did it fail? Why did Rick Pitino get fired? Why would you get you know, Mark Jackson, Rookie of the Year? Why would you get him and get Rod Strickland, I believe, at the same time? Don't try to make these guys coexist. You trade both of them in back-to-back seasons. You know, just little things like that. But walk us through the 80s Knicks.
Yeah, that's going to be hard for me because I was like 14 and I don't really remember the particular ins and outs of
Whatever
it.
you got.
But I do remember Mark Jackson and Rod Strickland playing on the same team. And I love both. I loved Mark Jackson and just his ability. Because remember, I'm a huge Michael Jordan. I mean, excuse me, not Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson fan. So when Mark Jackson came and the passes he was making to Patrick Ewing behind the back, all those kind of, I loved Mark Jackson, but I like Rod Strickland too. Rod Strickland, he was gonna give you the business, you know. I'm not sure, you know what happened. That I think they traded Rod Strickland for Maurice Cheeks. I'm not sure if they felt like they needed, more of a veteran presence. I'm not sure if they felt at the time that they couldn't coexist. I'm not sure. To be honest, I'm not sure what it was, but it was sad to see Rod Strickland go, and I wish they would have, made it work. I like the Rick Pitino era, in the sense of they was kind of playing how we playing now, shooting the threes and things. It was an exciting brand of basketball, but the Knicks were never able to really, they won that playoff series where they swept and they came out with the brooms, because they swept. I think it was Philly. It was exciting, but to me, it was when Pat Riley came. He started laying it down. I think that's when I was all in on the Knicks. I watched the Knicks. I was a Knicks fan. But again, I was 14. I was 15. I started coaching when I was young. I started coaching. I was like 20, 21 years old. I believe it was 21 or 22. Um, so it was really that Pat Riley era that I can remember more than the 80s, era.
So that leads us to the 90s Knicks. And when we get to the current Knicks right now, I want you to point out some of the similarities that today's Knicks have compared to the 90s Knicks. But the 90s Knicks is, you know, glorified as one of the best eras in New York Knicks fandom history, only because the 90s Knicks includes a lot of people from your generation and includes a lot of people from the younger generation, right? And a lot of people that's in between, right? There's people that's about 60, 70 years old that's seen all of the generations and say, look, listen, them 90s Knicks, you know, she's Patrick Ewing. We got to the finals twice in the 90s. You know, one time a certain someone, you know, would not sub out John Starks for Ronaldo Balkman when John Starks was having a bad game. But John Starks got you there. This is that's some Tim shit, right? He got us there. We gonna live and we gonna sink or swim with, right?
Yeah.
And you got that. You got the '99 Knicks. You got Spreewell after he choked PJ Carlissimo. You got Allen Houston, right? You got Patrick Ewing. He gets hurt right before you get to the goddamn finals. You also had a lockout that year. I experienced a lockout myself as the older man in 2011. I remember because the day the lockout ended, I believe it was Christmas. I believe it was Christmas, and Fabulous had a new mixtape that just came out too that same day. And outside was like crazy. So like the 90s Knicks. Talk to me about Anthony Mason and them brothers, man. Charles, you know, Oak, all of those guys, man. Give us a nice lesson. And ultimately, why did it fail? Why didn't we win a championship during the 90s?
Yeah. You know, I think part of what endeared Knick fans to the 90s Knicks is because if you were a working class person, you know, if you were a grinder, if you were somebody who worked in the post office, you know what I mean, or worked for the city, or, you know, had 2 jobs and what have you, you can identify with the 90s Knicks because these guys just brought their lunch pails every single day and they ain't take nothing off nobody. You know, that was the 90s Knicks. You weren't gonna push Patrick Ewing around. And I'm not saying Patrick Ewing can't fight. He didn't have to because he had Oak there to take care of that. That's how tough. He had Mason there to take care of that. These was just tough guys playing at a time when you can hand check, playing at a time when you can, you know, give somebody the business as they cutting across the lane. You know what I mean? They was rough and tough, and I think Knick fans identified with that brand of basketball and fell in love with that team. I think ultimately why they didn't win is they just didn't have a legitimate number 2 that was good enough to go with Patrick Ewing. As good as Starks was, he was inconsistent, and I loved Starks. You know, Oakley, as good as he was in terms of rebounding and hitting the elbow shots, he wasn't Pippen. You know what I mean? So part of it was they didn't have a really good number 2, and they was in there with Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was the man. And the Knicks gave them everything they could in multiple series through multiple years. But at the end of the day, Michael was just better. You know, I think, you know, if the Bulls weren't the Bulls, the Knicks would have won. If they could have got one more person in there for Patrick Ewing, I think they could have did it. But I think it was those 2 things: not having a legitimate number 2 and being in the Michael Jordan era.
Shout out to the art man. I love the Abby, by the way. The camera on Abby. Shout out to Cam, man. Killer Cam, it is what it is, man. Shout out to those. Love what they doing. Shout out to the whole the female what are you, moderator? Love her. Stat Baby, love her. She is great. Black women on the rise. Today, I had 3 minorities women come on my show today, right? One Puerto Rican, Dominican, other 2, both African American, both black. This is special to me. It means something to me. Queen, we need you breaking down film more. Shout out to Art, man, with the super chat again. We need more of the coaching side these days, so the casual Knick fan can know why the Knicks are making specific moves on the court. I definitely agree.
But can I say this though?
Yes, you can.
Two coaches can make different decisions in the same or similar situation on the court. So coaches are, whatever their philosophy is bears on the coaching decisions they make. Steve Kerr and Thibodeau and Pop and Spo, they may not make the same decision in a similar situation. But they may not play the same defense, the same offense, make the same substitution in a similar situation because their philosophies are different. So somebody, one coach might say, I want to match size for size. So let me sub out so and so, put somebody in that's this player's size. That's his philosophy. Another coach may say, you know what? We're at a disadvantage size-wise, but they're at a disadvantage as well on the other end. So it's hard to get into a coach's head and see why did they make that decision at a particular time, because coaches are different and they seeing it different. I know there was times when I was coaching and my assistant coach would say, yo, so-and-so keeps getting beat back door. We need to take her out. But she was doing something good for us on the other end of the court. And even though she was getting beat back door, it wasn't hurting us because the player was missing it. You know what I mean? So I was like, you know what? You're right. She is getting beat, but right now it's not hurting us. We still up 6. So let's leave her in because of what she's doing on the other side. Whereas another coach would have said, I don't care whether we getting beat or not. We practice this shit every day. And she's still getting beat back door. I don't care if they missing the layup. Get out of there. It depends. It depends on the coach.
Shout out to the chat, man. The chat booming, man. The chat booming. Chat is booming. Still, Knick fan, I appreciate you. This state show, but Queen Steph is also airing on her channel. This her show. This ain't no damn state show. Ain't my damn show. This her show. It's Queen night. It's lady night, man. No negativity in my chat, man. Please with that nonsense, Greg. You're killing me. But anyways, Xavier McDaniel, yeah, he was good. The Knicks let him go right to the Celtics. Why did they do that? I don't know.
I don't remember the particulars of that either, but I love the X-Man. He was another rough and tough one. Yeah, I love, but you know what? There's some players that wasn't rough and tough that I like too, like Kiki Vanderway. I used to like Kiki.
So then we get to the 2000 Knicks, the Knicks I grew up on. Oh, Antonio McDyess, Jerome James, Larry Brown, Scott Layden, traded multiple top 5 picks, Joakim Noah, LaMarcus Aldridge, traded first, I believe, for cap space. He traded for Tracy McGrady, tried to get cap space and tried to get LeBron. They showed LeBron James in the room movies. You're not talking to him about winning a championship. You know damn right LeBron wasn't coming to the Knicks. I was so mad with LeBron too when he did it, but I understand though. You got Larry Brown with the Stephon Marbury situation. Shout out to Stephon Marbury. Just recently wrote a Substack on Stephon Marbury. Please go to my Substack. Please, it's free. Free. I would never charge you nobody to read a Substack. If you want to support, it is a support button where you can pay. But I'm not charging. It's free. I wrote a Substack on Mark Jackson, Stephon Marbury, right? Bernard King. I'm going to keep it going. I don't know who next I'm right about. But talk to us about the Knicks I grew up on, because the Knicks was so bad that if you seeing a person in another team's gear between that in those times, you can understand. Like that's how bad they was.
Yeah.
We was getting smeared everywhere in the media, but talk to us.
I think the only thing, the word that comes to me is painful, embarrassing. Um, Coming from the 90s Knicks and how they operated and the type of players they brought in, and going to those early 2000 Knicks, just giving away draft picks like water for over the hill guys, injury prone guys, looking for a quick fix. Um, the Isaiah Thomas years, oh my God. You know, he's seeing something in Eddie Curry, or he's seeing something in whoever, and paying drafting Ronaldo Blackman. Like, what are you doing, yo? Like, it was just a painful time. And it was just year after year after year, just repeating the same thing over and over and over again. And you're right. When it was time for the LeBron James sweepstakes and they cleared out the roster, and I think they didn't re-sign David Lee or a few other, players to clear. All right, what's your plan? You rolling in there with Donnie Walsh, in a wheelchair, and shot. Listen, I have no. I hope I'm not getting my time periods right. I do think that was the time Donnie Walsh was in a wheelchair. I think I got that right. And I think they also had Isaiah Thomas, in there, but they needed to come stronger than they needed to come stronger than they came to get LeBron, LeBron James. It was just embarrassed. That was just an embarrassing, painful time to be a Knick.
One pick away from Curry.
Yeah. Right,
2000,
right, right, right.
2003 instead of
Jordan Hill. Oh, yeah, yeah,
Othello Harrington.
yeah, yeah. And you know what? Like, people will say, why can't the Knicks be like, these other teams and build through the draft? The Knicks tried to build through the draft. Listen, the Knicks did the same thing Golden State did. Golden State wasn't good for years, if not decades. The Knicks did the same thing Golden State did. The Knicks did the same thing Memphis did. Lost. Got into the lottery. That's what Golden State did. That's what Memphis did. But the difference was they hit on their draft picks and the Knicks did not. That was the difference. People act like the Knicks did something wrong. No, they did the same thing Golden State did. They did the same thing Memphis did. Lost games, got into the lottery, but they didn't get a Kerr. They didn't get a Morant. They didn't get these other players. The Knicks hit on some draft picks, we could have gotten here sooner. They they didn't. One thing I will say about the Knicks, though, when they would be like, "Oh, the Knicks haven't signed they re-signed their first round pick in 20 years." Good, good. Because one thing I'll give them credit from, they didn't double down on these draft picks that they made that weren't good and give them a second contract. Once they got them in the building and saw it, they was like, all right, we're gonna have to let them go. We not gonna double down and sign them to a second contract. I'll give them credit for that.
Woo! Jared Jeffries. When I think of Jared Jeffries, you know what else I think of? Carmelo Anthony. And I remember watching Melo. What team was it? Was it the Celtics? Melo put up 42 and 17, and Jared Jeffries, this stupid, he going miss layups. But now we get into the juicy part of why Leon Rose moved the way he moved. Because Leon Rose was Carmelo Anthony's agent, right? So we do the Melo trade, clear out the roster, clear out the decks. We traded a first round pick. One of those first round picks became Jamal Murray, who's an NBA champion right now. We traded 2 first round picks. We tried to resurrect Andreas Bargliani. I don't know who's worse, Andreas Bargliani or Alfred Payton. I can't choose. Mano or mano. I don't know who's worse. That's just me. James Dolan didn't want to trade 2 first round picks for early Kyle Lowry. What else? We re-signed Carmelo Anthony, even though the team is trash, but you just saying, you know what, we're gonna re-sign Melo because we need a star in the building, doing stupid stuff, right? What's the infamous move? Hartenstein, Chauncey Billups. When you know damn well you should have did it to Amari Stoudemire, but I get it. James Dolan not Hartenstein, his cash cow that first came here. This is why I tell Knicks fans I don't think James Dolan will be trading Julius Randle, in my opinion, right? So talk to us, man. The Melo era. Leon Rose is Melo's agent. Leon Rose seen that Melo trade firsthand. He is very conservative now with the New York Knicks of 2024. We go to 2015, 2016. We get Porzingis. Shout out to Porzingis. Wish he came back this season, but he didn't. Cool, no problem. Porzingis, we drafted him. We got Melo. That don't work out. Phil Jackson. This. Matter of fact, go ahead. Go.
Oh man, that Phil Jackson was like, listen, I love the Melo trade. I disagree with people who feel like the Knicks gave up too much in that trade, and the reason why they didn't win was because we gave up a lot in that trade. I feel like the reason the Knicks didn't win is because of the moves they did not make after they got Carmelo Anthony in the building. I don't think they did a good job putting together a team around them. There was rumors or reports that CP3 was coming to the Knicks. I don't know how true these rumors or reports were, and the Knicks chose not to wait for that to see if that played out, and they went out and they got Tyson Chandler, and Tyson Chandler was cool. I think he got Defensive Player of the Year, if I'm not mistaken, or first team. One of them. He was all right, but I felt like when it comes to star players, get them in the building. Make sure if you're going to trade, make sure you get the best player in the trade, and he was, and now build around him. So I'm not one who feel like it was a mistake to give him up or that we gave up too much. I feel like the mistakes was all of the decisions the Knicks made and did not make once they got that man in the building. I'm a Carmelo Anthony fan. I did not like the way he was treated by Phil. I thought Phil Jackson was trash. I thought he was so disrespectful. I thought he was, you trying to triangle offense from your office. Yo, if you want the triangle offense run, how you gonna hamstring your coach and tell him that you want them to what offense you want them to run? Come on. You have that conversation before you hire them. You make sure y'all on the same page as far as philosophy. But once that coach is in the building, they're assessing the type of players that they have and running the offense that they feel works for the players that they have. So I didn't like that from the jump. I didn't like the fact that he wasn't the one going out to these meetings, seeing these prospects, doing what other general managers, I don't know if he was president or general, whatever the others was doing, he wasn't doing it. You know what I mean? So I felt like he was somebody that was going to just take the money, sit in his office and pull strings, and dictate what other people was going to do. Listen, if you're going to lead, you got to lead from the ground. People got to see you, out there hustling. They're going to respect that. So I didn't like that. I did not like the way he was backbiting and talking about Carmelo Anthony. Same thing about Porzingis. Players that tall don't usually make it. And I like whatever comment he made about Porzingis, I just thought he was very unprofessional during his time here. And when I woke up that morning and I opened my eyes, barely opened my eyes, and the radio came on and it said Phil Jackson was fired. Oh my God. It's like one of the happiest days of my life. Thank goodness. It's like a load fell off of my shoulders, I just wish they would have did it before he picked Ntilikina, because he felt Ntilikina was gonna work well in the triangle offense. Yo, give it up. Give it up. So they couldn't even get that right in terms of the timing of the of the firing. But yeah, that was just a painful time. And I just think we wasted Carmelo's time here in New York, because he was that dude. I don't care. Oh, he was selfish. He was that. He was that dude. And the Knicks wasted his time there. And let's just hope they don't do that with Brunson,
Oof. And speaking of wasting Melo's time, we wasted Porzingis' time too.
Can I just say this about Porzingis?
Go ahead.
I know this was a tough decision for the Knicks. A guy who don't want to be here. I think I would have called his bluff. I think I would have kept him. And I get it. You know, as a franchise, do you really want to sign somebody who's telling you they don't want to be here? I think I would have. Oh no, I think I might have. And see it played out. I think I might have.
I would have called his bluff too. I'm not gonna hold you. I dare you.
I think so. I think I would have.
Randle and Porzingis.
Listen, and we going through the 2000s. I might have to. I might have to take a shot, man. Because you bringing it. I feel like this is. Shout out to Tony Crow. I feel like this is an episode. This is the Knicks and Bruises segment, of the show.
I'm up for it, man. It's tough when you draft Frank Ntilikina and Kevin Knox in back-to-back games. And you want the Knicks, and you telling David Fizdale, hey, go win us basketball games. And you give David Fizdale, Alfred Payton, you give him Frank Ntilikina, you give who else? Like with all of these bums, who should not? You get Ron Baker $5 million.
Right.
You hamper yourself. Like you do moves that's just like, what the fuck are you doing? Like it's like, what are you doing?
And I don't like how they turned on Fizdale. I don't think Fizdale was. I'm not saying Fizdale was a great coach, but they turned on him. They told him, "Don't worry about wins. We just trying to develop these young players." Then it gets embarrassing. And Dolan is like, yo, what's going on? Now they giving him the cold shoulder, walking in the building, walking past him. Like all of y'all wasn't discussing in the beginning how to handle this team. You understand what I'm saying? And then next thing you know, they're using him as a scapegoat because he's not trying to win. But isn't that what y'all decided between the coaching staff and the front? So I didn't like that at all. And I'm not saying Fizdale was great. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying is, don't hang him out there to dry like he just decided that, we're not going to try to win games.
Yeah, I didn't like that either. Me personally, I think it got to a point where it was just embarrassing, man. First of all, man, I know me and Queen Steph, we chopping it up. Let me show the chat some love real quick. Where I was at, man, my fault, chat, man. I don't want to keep y'all there acting like we ain't see y'all there. That's my job.
We see you.
I can't remember Melo 7, man. Put the Melo 7s in the chat, man. Shout out to Carmelo Anthony. Like and subscribe both of our channels, man. Shout out to Carmelo Anthony. I love Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo Anthony ushered in a generation of Knicks fans. His jersey should be in those Raptors within the next two. If you want to have that conversation, we can, but his jersey should be retired as a New York Knick. Absolutely. Absolutely. In my opinion, it's more than just on the court. It's off the court too. Culturally, generational wise, he's a top 10 scorer all time. He's one of the best Knick players of all time. We fucked up. Melo did his job. He played in a playoff series with a torn labrum and averaged 28 and 7. Julius Randle out here giving me Martin Luther King stats, and Knicks fans want me to just put on a paper for him. So,
but they're not talking about retiring Randle's number, though.
Now, that conversation comes if he delivers me a championship, or he just consistent.
Yeah, I'm a super big Melo fan. I'm not. I wouldn't retire his number, and no disrespect.
Ooh.
I just think, or your number to be retired. You won a championship. You like just on another. I mean, he's one of the top 75 players to ever play this game. That's an accomplishment. I'm not taking anything from him. But the Knicks won one playoff game in that time span. One playoff series in that time. And I'm not saying this is, I agree. But how many other players put up great numbers and the team didn't go any place for no fault of their own? You know what I mean? So, and then you got Bernard King. You got, if you doing Carmelo, there's a few plays that's going to go before him. But it's not something I would pound the table for. But if the Knicks decided to do it, it's not anything I would be protesting. That Melo, that's my guy. For me, getting your number retired is just a high bar for me personally.
So just for me, like, I'm a younger Knick fan than you, right? And just the cultural impact of Melo on my generation alone, right? This is the first dude, like, we've seen Amari Stoudemire, who was cool with he punching fire extinguishers, and his body broke down. But Melo, the swag, the cultural impact, the points he scored, the teams he was on, the talent he was playing with. His second best player was J.R. Smith. Braun can't win with J.R. Smith as his second best player. We've seen that story before. He got punched in the face. Shouts to the chat too, man. Jay Boogie, oh shit. Listen, I didn't expect for Queen Steph to say what she just said. So I love it. Queen Steph brought us back in the time machine for real, and this all facts. That's a fact, man. That's a fact. Shouts to the chat, man. King Ribby. Tell him state. I'm trying to, man. So I'm trying to. Melo force and trade screwed everything up because we gutted the roster. And that leads me to the current Knicks. Got it.
Can I ask you one question before we get to the current Knicks?
Go ahead.
You retiring Carmelo's number, would you retire Randle's number right now?
Ooh. He never plays another game for the New York Knicks.
Never plays another game. And we having this conversation 5 years from now.
You would have to. You have to, out of respect. I think I have to give the nod. I have to give him that nod out of respect, because another thing, cultural impact, generational impact. There's Knicks fans who've seen losing for 6 straight years. Right? And when you make the playoffs 4 times in like 18 years or some crazy stat like that, how can I sit here and like poo-poo on Randle and say, nah, his jersey shouldn't be retired because he didn't do this? Nah, I think cultural impact matters. Tracy McGrady's a Hall of Famer. Cultural impact matters. He never got out the first round. I believe. I think so. I'm going off the top of the dome, but
right.
I think it matters. I think he would get that. I'm not gonna lie. I think Melo. I think Randle would get that.
I'm a big Randle fan. I ain't trying Randle number. To me, the bar is just too high, and I'm a huge Randle fan. I'm not retiring Randle's number.
So let's go to 2019.
Okay.
Now we start off with a changing of the guard, right? We got David Fizdale. We had him the season prior. We got Kevin Knox shooting 1 million shots. Youngest Knick to ever have 25 and 15. Shouts to Knox, man. Keep working hard. You just got to work hard. Mike Miller comes in, after David Fizdale, he gets fired. Mike Miller, he wins us 21 meaningless games, Alec Burks, all of this. But then Leon Rose makes a change. He brings in Thomas Thibodeau. And it seemed like the culture shifted. What sparked, what are you seeing from the Knicks? And can you compare it to the 90s Knicks right now? Leon Rose coming in. Is it like Grunwald? Am I saying his name right?
Yeah. I think it was. Damn, I don't even know now. I think it was Grunwald. I think it was.
Okay, because I know he went to the playoffs every single season. He was the Knicks president of basketball operations. So
I think Leon Rose is, a bit more calculated, than the prior Knick GMs. In my opinion, moved a bit too slow for my liking, but all right, I get it. It's all working out in the end. What was the question again? Is comparing this team or comparing the general managers?
not all of it. Like Tibbs, back then,
yeah.
all of it, of it.
Listen, this team reminds me of the 90s Knicks. And I think a lot of it is because Tom Thibodeau was on that team as an assistant coach. I'm not sure how many years he was there, but he was on multiple, he was an assistant coach for multiple years on those 90s Knicks, even when we went to Van Gundy. He's an old school coach, in terms of approach to the game. So he's bringing it. It's not a wonder that these players remind us of the 90s Knicks, because Tom Thibodeau is the bridge between the two. This team is tough as nails. This team plays 48 minutes. This team, I think the defense has gotten better because we've gotten players that can play defense. I mean, our defense last year was like 19 or something like that, So I think since Tibbs has been there, our offense has been more consistently better than our defense. But this team right here, with the players that we have, the changes we made, bringing in OG, bringing in Dante, McBride is in the rotation now. Now you got players who actually can move their feet and play defense. So yeah, this definitely reminds me of the 90s Knicks. And the injuries reminds me of the 90s Knicks too. But how players are stepping up. That next man up mentality, that was also part of the 90s Knicks identity. No excuses. We got enough to win. This person is not out, can't play for whatever reason. The next person is up. What you doing? So yeah, they definitely remind me of the 90s Knicks. I think though that, this team is probably deeper, than those 90s Knicks. I think that we, our 1-2 punch is probably better than the 1-2 of the 90s, because there was a drop off between Patrick Ewing and whoever the number 2 was on the Knicks, if we had one. There was a significant drop off, and I don't think is that big of a drop off between Brunson and Randle. And some would even argue, and we've had this conversation in the chat, the Just KNICKIN Weekly show. There's still some people who believe, and I'm not arguing with you, that Randle is the best player on the team. There's still Knick fans who believe that, but there still isn't as big a jump from Brunson to Randle drop off as it was from Patrick Ewing to whoever, the second best player was on, on that team. I think whenever the Knicks took the floor, they had a chance. And I think that's how it is with this Knicks when the team, injury prone or not, whenever they take the floor, they have a chance. This team, though, may be as good defensively as those teams, but this is a better offensive team. That was the thing with those 90 Knicks. The Knicks was down 8 points, 12 minutes to go. You'd be like, oh, how are we going to make up 8 points? We down. Like 8 points was like being down 20. because we could not score. You know, what I like about this team, and listen, the offenses has exploded in this era, particularly this season. So even though our defense is really good, I think we're second right now. Don't think that we're gonna be holding teams to 87 points like those 90s. Like that's over. You know, our defense is good enough to keep us in the game, to keep us within range. But in today's NBA, you have to have an offense that's going to take you over the top. You have to have a sufficient offense in today's NBA. Defense alone is not going to get it. Think back to when we played Atlanta that year. I think we were top 5 in defense. We couldn't hit shots. We couldn't get over the hump. Now there was other things, going on, but having being number 1 or number 2, top 5 in defense, we couldn't hit shots. You go home. Last year in the playoffs, I think through 2 rounds, the Knicks were number 1 and number 2 in playoff defense. We played the best defense, I believe, against any team in the playoffs that played Miami. We played better defense than Denver, better defense than Boston, better defense than Milwaukee against Miami. The difference was Miami, they didn't shoot great, but they got the timely shots. If you think just having a good defense is going to be enough, I just think you sadly mistaken. We need this defense. We need these stops to keep us in the game, but our offense has to be good enough to get us over the top. And that's actually a concern that I have in terms of we have enough shooting now. Do we have enough bucket getters in the playoffs when things just grind to a halt and you got to put the ball in somebody's hands? Other than Brunson, do we have a bucket getter? We shall see.
I agree. Shout out to the chat too. Yeah, she's spitting. She's spitting. Shout out to the chat, man. Cultural impact does matter a lot. I agree, brother. I agree, Money Mitch. I agree. 2 Knicks for clicks, man. Appreciate you pulling up. Greedy Grizz, no, we can't set the bar that low. There's been plenty of players who had those stats on other teams that didn't get their jersey retired, who aren't even. I get it, right? But Melo, it's just today's era, man. It's just today's era, man. Shouts to Ernesto too, man. I appreciate you. Ernesto, matter of fact, now we're talking about shouts to Kareem Grant too. I appreciate you, Kareem. Ernesto, thank you. Because Deuce McBride was one of the players that I really didn't mention a lot today because I wanted to save it for later on tonight. Deuce McBride reminds me of Bobby Jackson from the Sacramento Kings back in the day. Strong player, plays smart, plays great defense, steady, quietly athletic, but a great on-ball defender, very tough, hard-nosed. Bobby Jackson was my comp for Deuce McBride, and he's been playing well. He's turned himself into one of the best three-point shooters on the team. Do you attribute that to Deuce McBride, or do you attribute that to Tom Thibodeau?
No, I attribute that to Deuce McBride. I think that coaching, developing players is overrated and overstated. I'm not saying that Thibodeau hasn't encouraged him. I'm not saying Thibodeau hasn't, told him, listen, we need you to work on this. We need you to get here. This is what you need to do to get more playing time or hang in there. You got players in front of you, but if you keep doing, I'm not saying Tibbs is not saying any of that, but it's McBride putting in that work. It's McBride's confidence. It's his approach to the game. It's not getting down when was buried in the depth charts. Quickley said something when he left. He said, I just kept chopping wood and carrying water. Like I wasn't focused on anything else but just what I need to do on a day-to-day basis to get better. And I think that's been McBride's approach as well. And it's paying off. It's paying off for him.
Oh, shout outs to Deuce McBride, man. I really do appreciate him. as far as his play. He sat down for like 2 seasons, didn't complain, didn't talk to the media. He just put his head down. He just kept working. Like a real true New Yorker. You don't complain.
Right.
You get up. You go get that fucking money.
Right.
Bills need to be paid. Kids need to be fed. Family members probably need a favor. You don't know. You gotta go and get it. You gotta keep working. And like Deuce is like 90s Knicks written all over him.
Yep.
Because he didn't get shit handed to him, right? He's actually taken his rotation minutes this season. Because usually Tom Thibodeau, he go vet heavy, right? He ain't going vet heavy over Deuce. I appreciate Tibbs for that. And that comes to the next guy, Dante DiVincenzo, man. Matter of fact, not even Dante DiVincenzo. Let's talk about OG Anunoby, right? How did you feel about Leon Rose trading RJ Barrett and Quickley for OG Anunoby? Did it remind you of any trade from the 90s from players like you love that we had and we had to trade them at any moment in time?
Ooh. Nothing comes to mind. I'm pretty sure there is a comp. But nothing comes to mind for me. I was hoping, I didn't mind the trade. I was just hoping that they can headline separate trades so we could have got more if you were going to trade them. So I wanted to see if you want to trade both of them, can you trade RJ Barrett and some picks and get a player? And can you trade Quickley and some picks and get another player? Because I felt like we needed more than OG and Anunoby. But they took care of that in a separate trade when they went and got Burks and Bogey, regardless of how you feel about it. They took care of that. Um, I think it came down to the fact that those players didn't hold the value that we thought they would hold separately. I think that's what it came down to. I also think it came down to the Knicks feeling. I think it came after a bad loss or a string of losses, if I remember correctly. I think this trade was on the table for a while, and after that loss, the Knicks was like, you know what, call them, call them. We gonna have to pull the trigger on it. We gonna have to pull the trigger on that. I think that's what it came down to. I don't think Toronto was willing to trade OG for one or another of those guys. I think that's what it came down to. Um yeah, yeah.
What's your thoughts on OG and Anunoby? Um, do
Yeah.
you like it? All right, the defense is cool. The plus minus is cool. The issue I have with OG and Anunoby is he's made out of paper. It's just simple as that. The man is made out. He's made out of Gerber diapers, paper. What is this right here? What is this? A label? He's made out of labels, brown boxes. Like this guy is. I don't know what it is with him, but brother, you're not in Toronto no more. You're in New York.
Yeah.
They traded my two young boys for you. I absolutely need to see you fucking play. And then he comes in, 2 games he plays. He clearly looks hobbled. He looks hobbled. He's not shooting. It was a shot he shot at the end of the first half, I think, one of his recent games he played. He shot it and it looked like it hurt.
Right.
It
Yeah.
looked like it hurts.
Yeah.
So
But that might have been him playing through pain. It may have been hurt, and he may have wanted to play through pain, and just after that game just felt like, nah. You see that shot hit the backboard. You see
oh,
that
oh my
he
God.
probably was like, nah, I got to give it up. But yeah, I agree with you. I think I don't know if he's soft. I don't know if I can say the reports that he doesn't like to play through pain. Um, Only thing I could say is we knew that he was injury prone when we traded for him. And if we get 65 games out of OG, we might have to, on a year-to-year basis, we might have to, we get 65 games and we win 45 of them. The Knicks better be able to get the other 5. um, without him. But listen, this is the other concern I have. Offensively, can OG be that third scorer we need? That I feel we need. I feel we need somebody that can get a bucket. I don't think that's who he is right now. We've seen him put the ball on the floor some, but just because somebody can put the ball on the floor doesn't mean they can get a bucket. I mean, consistently. Maybe that's something he'll grow into. He's been in the league 6-7 years. A lot of times when you've been in the league this long, who you are is who you are. So we got the defense, we got the 3-point shooting, we got him being able to put the ball on the floor some. Yeah, I wish he was more of a dynamic offensive player. Put it that way. He was more dynamic offensive.
I got news for you. OG is a career 16-point per game scorer. Career championship 4th option. Going to be dominant though, defensively.
Mm-hmm.
He could absolutely win a Defensive Player of the Year award.
Yeah, I agree.
And that is an award that is really dominated by bigs. Not a lot of wings win that award. Shout outs to Marcus Smart. Shout outs to Ron Artest. But I believe he can win a Defensive Player of the Year award. What is the most you would pay him this offseason? With the understanding that this man has never played 76 games in an NBA season in his career.
You got to pay him the going rate. But maybe you could get 5 million off because of the injury. But if you think you get him for 20, 25, 28 million, it's not happening. It's starting at 30. And if you could try to keep it around 30, if you do that, you doing good. He changes the complexion of the team when he plays. And if he gets 65 games, we might have to live with that. I don't know if he's ever played 82 games since he's been in the league.
So, Miss Steph, we have another conundrum too.
Okay.
Because all of these conundrums is just coming to my brain as I'm listening to you speak. We have a precious Mitchell Robinson iHeart issue. The issue is, here's the good news. We can pay all 3. Here's the bad news. OG Anunoby needs to get paid.
Right.
So with that said, and we know Mitchell Robinson, he's returning towards the end of the season. Shouts to Money Mitch. Shouts to Mitchell Robinson's trainer too, Marcel Scott. He's mad cool. I DM'd him one day randomly, asked him about Mitchell Robinson. He actually replied to the DM on Instagram.
Wow.
Like, oh shit,
wow.
That's dope. That's dope. Shout out to Mitchell Robinson trainer. But talk to me, man. What's your concerns, if any, about Mitchell Robinson? Do you like the fact that he commented recently on Instagram and said I would rather come off the bench? And would you let iHeart walk, or would you just resign iHeart? And also Precious Achiuwa, how do you feel about him and his game and what he's brought to the Knicks? Would you resign him as well? Tough decisions.
Yeah, you're right. It is tough decisions. Listen, the Knicks are going to have to decide who their core is. They're not going to be able to keep everybody. They're going to have to figure out who their core players are. And you may have to be changing around the edges from year to year. You're not going to be able to keep everybody. I'll start with Precious. I like Precious at the 4 as a backup to Julius Randle. I do not like him at the 5. I just think he gets pushed around. I don't think he's strong enough. That being said, how many minutes are left behind Randle? And do you want to pay the going rate for somebody? I'm not even sure what the going rate is for Precious. But for 12 to 14 minutes a game, if he's playing behind just Randle, how much do you want to pay for that? We know what he can do, but lately he hasn't been doing much. Now, Is his minutes down just because of the teams that we're playing, and we need Deuce McBride in there because of Jamal Murray and because of Curry? Or is his minutes down because, maybe they see something, I'm not sure. If we can keep Precious, fine. If we can't, I'm okay with that. As far as the center position is, we need both of those guys this year. And I'll get to the summertime. But right now, we need both of those guys. Hartenstein is coming along. He seems like he's more of himself. But that Achilles can flare up at any time. Mitchell Robinson is coming back off an ankle injury. I don't expect him to come right in and look the way he looked when he started the season, right? So it's going to take him some time as well. Both of them this season, we could cobble together 48 minutes of really good center play. And we could spot some minutes to Sims if we need to situationally. And if we have to put pressures at, the center position, fine. The decision is in the off season. How much money in today's NBA do you want to put into the center position? You can keep both of them. You want to put $30 million into the center position? You can do that. Me personally, in today's NBA, I'm not doing that, because to do it is going to be at the expense of another position, right? So I'm not putting $30 million into the center position. For me, I'm keeping Hartenstein, and I'm looking to trade Mitchell Robinson, and here's why. Hartenstein is a more complete player than Mitchell Robinson, and he can hit free throws. You got Dante DiVincenzo now. You got OG Anunoby. The perimeter defense is much better. If you have decent perimeter defenders, you do not need an elite rim protector. Other teams are winning championships without elite rim protectors. The Knicks can win a championship without an elite rim protector, provided they have defense in the other areas on the court. There is a drop between Mitchell Robinson defensively and Isaiah Hartenstein, but it's not a huge drop defensively. And what you're gaining from Isaiah Hartenstein on the offensive end, Mitch just can't match that. And it's not even about the points. Isaiah Hartenstein, he's scoring more as of late these last few games, but it's not the points for me. It's the fact that he can facilitate the offense. The offense moves better when Hartenstein is out there with that starting unit when they're healthy. He can get the ball at the foul line, turn around. Now, Devo is a cutter. OG is a cutter. Hartenstein can take advantage of them cutting. Mitch can't take advantage of that. So when Mitch is in the game, ain't no cutting. Or you cut when Randle has the ball, or cut when somebody else, Brunson, has the ball. But ain't no cutting off of Mitch, because he doesn't have that skill in his game, which is fine. So I'm not willing to give up what we're getting on the offensive end, what we're getting in free throw shooting, just to get a little bump on the defensive end when right now we're number 2 without Mitch. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not Mitch. Hey, I'm not even looking at the chat because I already know. Oh,
no, they loving you. I ain't gonna lie. They say you cooking.
Because people, oh wow, let's just hate. I respect what Mitchell Robinson does. I respect he's an elite rim protector. He's an elite offensive rebounder. And when we didn't have shooters, we needed those second chance opportunities because we were bricking. We needed those second chance opportunities. When we didn't have perimeter defenders, we needed Mitchell Robinson back there protecting the rim because we could not keep anybody in front of us. But the team has changed. We have shooters now. We have perimeter defenders now. So people want to double down on the defense. We're number 1 or number 2. All right, we just wanted to be that much better. No, in today's NBA, you better double down, have a good enough defense, and you need to double down on your offense. because I don't care how good your defense is, you are not shutting down these offenses. You're not. So you have to have, like I said earlier, your defense keeps you in the area, keeps you in the game, and you got to have offense to be able to take you home. So if the Knicks want to double down on anything, go out there and get another scorer that can put the ball in the basket instead of putting $30 million into the center position. Hartenstein and get you a minimum backup, or whatever. That's where I'm at with the center position.
Yo, the chat, I ain't gonna lie. I thought they was gonna get at you.
Oh, me too, because they get at me on the show, on the weekly show. So
I'm not gonna lie, a lot of people that watch my show is they say, well, hold on. Let's go. Look, shout out to Zeke, man. Yankee, Knicks, Giants. Holy Trinity. Steph is cooking. Shout out to AP Carlos, man. I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you all the way from Portugal. Sheesh.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you. A la wise. I'm glad Queen, not the GM, she want to pattern our team like Golden State.
We're a defensive team. We're a defensive team already without Mitch. Check the numbers.
I mean, she do got a point there that I will not dispute. Look, the president, facts. But who else? I want the team to be Tom Tibbs style. We are a championship team that way. Okay, cool. The spacing is much better. Let me ask you a question about spacing. Spacing involves passing. It involves knowing where to be on the court offensively, and it also involves you being a threat.
Correct.
iHeart don't shoot threes.
Right.
But can you explain to people from a coaching point of view, what do you mean by iHeart provides spacing?
Even though, listen, he would provide much more space if he was a three-point shooter, right? Let's think about KP. KP go all the way out to the three-point line. Your center has to follow him out there, so that's going to create much more space. But he does create some space because even when he gets the ball at the free throw line, you got to be up on him because he does have a little floater. You can't, when he's on the foul, gets the ball at the free throw line, you can't just stand underneath the rim. So he does provide some space. And then also the cutters, he's able to hit the cutters, so that there's a lot of movement on the offense when iHeart is in there, and it's more free flowing. People complained about the offense when we had RJ Barrett and Mitchell Robinson, and we should run a motion offense. We not moving the ball enough. Yo, you gotta what a motion offense. To run a motion offense, you gotta have 5 players that know what to do with the ball. You gotta have 5 players. You gotta have guards that can post, big guys that can shoot. To keep it moving. Mitchell Robinson is limited offensively, and I'm not even talking about scoring. I'm talking about in terms of moving the offense along. All you're going to get from Mitchell Robinson is that dribble handoff. He's not hitting cutters. He's not hitting the guy open at the three-point line, though I do see that once in a while, in all fairness. The defense can relax a little bit. They don't have to work as hard because basically if Mitch is in there, it's coming, you key up on Brunson, key on Randle, cover the shooters. You ain't got to really worry about cutters. Play off of Mitchell Robinson. Play in the lane. It just changes. It just changes things. So both Mitch and RJ, not being there is helping our spacing. Both of those guys being gone is helping our spacing, and also the fact that you got to play Devo. Mm-hmm. You got to play Devo, and you got to play OG.
Yep. And this goes to my next guy, who I wanted to ask you about. You see, I'm trying to make sure I ask the ladies different questions. I'm trying to make sure y'all don't get the same questions. Another person that didn't really speak. No, I did, but Josh Hart. If you had a '90s Knicks player to compare him to, who would
Who?
it be? And do you think he's a championship role player? For example, Derek Fisher. You know, for example, Ron Artest won a championship. You
Draymond
know,
Green.
Draymond Green, Mr. Triple Single. I love Draymond Green. Mr. Triple Single. You know when the triple singles come up. But talk to us about Josh Hart. Did you disagree with the contract that he had? Shout outs to Josh Hart today. You know, I know me and Miss Queen, we didn't really talk about the game today, but Josh Hart did have another triple single game. He played great in my opinion. Can't shoot for shit. Don't know why he can't shoot for shit. He got to pick that up, but he did have 13 rebounds. I believe he had 5 assists. And just watching from afar, he seems like a guy who's starting to ingratiate himself with the crowd. He's starting to ingratiate himself with, you know, just talking to the fans. So what '90s Knick player? And then, you know, let's speak about Josh Hart.
I would say Mace. I would say Mace. He's not as big as Mace, but both of them can get the ball off the you know, rebound the ball and take it coast to coast and finish. You know, and finish at the rim. Both of them were really good rebounders. Both of them were really good defenders. Both of them were tough. Um, yes, I would compare him to Mace. Obviously, the body type is you know, is not the same. And I do think he is a championship role player. I every if you win in a champion, you can win without a Josh Hart type player, but it makes it so much easier when you have. He's that utility infielder. You know, he's that guy that could do, you know, that can do multiple things, and he's gonna play his role at a star level. You talk about being a star in your role. Josh Hart, as a role player, elevates this team when he's on the top of his game. He elevates this. So I'm super excited. Like, to me, he's part of the core of this team. I don't know who the players are for the Knicks. The Knicks are going to have to decide because you can't keep everybody. Josh Hart is a core piece. When we win a championship, unless we had to give him away, we had to put him in a trade for a championship player, that's a guy you hold on to unless it's like we can't get it done unless we put him in. Then you got to let him go. Other than that, keep him. Oh, I can't. I think you muted.
Oh,
There you go.
damn. See, my heavy hand is stupid ass. I'm sorry, chat. Shout outs to Visions, man. Visions just said, you know, 5 of the top 8 teams have over 30 million invested in the center position. That's a great rebuttal. What I would say to that to you directly is you could cheat the play, don't cheat the game. Like we don't know ball. Like a lot of those teams don't have an MVP at center. A lot of those teams like are championship, full-blown championship contenders. I will say to your comment, you are correct. But think about the players who they're allocating this money to and the way their team is built. If you're telling me as a Knick fan, hey, we want to build around Brunson and Randle, this, that, third, okay, iHeart is cool. In my opinion, I believe you pay both iHeart and Mitchell Robinson. And I believe you pay them both because it prolongs Jalen Brunson's career. Brunson is the most important piece on the New York Knicks. He's revived Julius Randle's career. He's revived Tom Thibodeau's career. He even got me liking Tom Thibodeau a little bit now. You know, I hate Tom Thibodeau's guts. And he even got me appreciating Tom Thibodeau right now. Julius Randle revived his career. Like I said this on last stream. Like he revived everything. Brunson. Question about Brunson. Where's he on your list? Top Knicks all time? That's the first question. The second question is he's the best point guard in New York Knicks history? Or can he get there if you're saying Clyde is de facto number one? Because there's kids that's like 23, they don't know no Clyde.
Right. For me, in terms of fandom, it's Patrick Ewing, Melo, Brunson, and Brunson is right up there with Melo, even though he hasn't been here as long. That is my guy. Brunson is my guy. So is those three as far as the Knicks are concerned. I've never seen Clyde play, but Clyde is the best point guard in the history of the Knicks. Um, and Brunson has some work to do. Like I talked about, the playoffs are a different animal, and there's levels to this. So you look at Embiid, who hasn't gotten out the second round. You look at Tatum, who hasn't won a championship, and there's still questions about whether or not he can be clutch in those in big games. We don't know what Brunson's playoff trajectory is going to be. We have to see it. Would I put money on it? Hell yeah, I would. That's my guy. I would put money on it, but he still has to go through the paces and see, because the deeper you go in the playoffs, the better the teams you play. Everybody knows what you're going to do. There's no secrets, but now you're playing better teams, so they have the personnel to exploit whatever weaknesses you have. So we have to see if Brunson can do his thing deep into the playoffs, because I've seen superstars struggle. Superstars, you know, it take them years and years to get to that level. So it's going to be interesting to see how Brunson progresses the deeper the Knicks get into the playoffs. But I would put him behind Clyde for now, and it would be Patrick Ewing. And right now, him and Melo is neck and neck.
Okay. Um, is Julius Randle the best power forward in Knicks history?
Statistically, he is. I believe statistically he is. But this is just me. This is just me. The playoffs matter. What you do in the playoffs under the bright lights matter. And so if you're just looking at stats, you might want to put him above the Busher. You know what I mean? Um, but guys who perform in the playoffs is going to always get the edge for me over guys who have great stats. And that's just how I do it. Now, Ajay, who's one of the panelists on the weekly show, he don't care about that. It's just about the playoffs doesn't have extra significance for him, but for me, it does. So statistically, yes. But if you include performance in the playoffs, I'm gonna say no right now.
Okay. Love your answer, Miss Queen. Um, uh, before I let you get out of here, you know, I don't even want to talk about the game tonight. The hell with what I got to say. It's 461 people in here, man. I appreciate 461 people in here. I also appreciate my cousin too, because we definitely was going to close a little earlier today. Uh,
Salute to him.
salute,
Where you
salute.
at? Y'all gonna be there tomorrow? Y'all
Um,
open on Sundays, do y'all?
yeah. We open on Sundays too.
I'm
We always working.
in Harlem tomorrow. I'm gonna see if I can get. I might go by. Y'all got whiskey there?
Yeah, we got some whiskey.
But let me see if y'all got something I don't have. I'm gonna come check. I might come by and check out y'all collection. We'll
Come
see.
through, man.
We'll
Come
see. I'll
through,
see.
man. Black owned, man. Come through, man. Fresh wines and liquor, man. Appreciate
Yeah,
you, man.
I gotta get that address. Put it in the private chat so I can.
All right, I got you. With that said, my last final question. Talk about the game today. We definitely had a game today. We played the goddamn New Jersey Nets. You know, Dante DiVincenzo, aka Big Paisan, the Big Paisan, one of my favorite Knick players in a minute. I really like his game. 30 plus points. Uh, I like Dante DiVincenzo so much that I will forgive Leon Rose for the other journeyman that he's acquired within the past few years. I will forgive him for that because the big Hazard, he plays like he plays like he from the projects, man. That's the first thing first. He plays with a passion. He plays with a heart. He's one of the greatest. No, I ain't gonna say that here. He's one of the best shooters I've seen in Knicks franchise history. Like we're just talking shooting, right? Love Steve Novak. Love a lot of these guys that I watch. He's a better shooter than all of them. He's a better shooter than J.R. Smith, and he's more in control than J.R. Smith. He's not erratic. He don't try to do stuff outside of his game. You know what I'm saying? And Dante DiVincenzo, easily one of the best free agency pickups for the New York Knicks within the past 23 years. Talk to us about the game tonight. Shouts to Josh Hart once again. He had another triple single. I believe he had about 13 rebounds. Shouts to Jalen Brunson too. He played well tonight. Love his game tonight. Shouts to iHeart too. Big block tonight. I'm watching it from the stands. I said, "Ooh, you can't do that on iHeart. You better chill." Shout outs to. Matter of fact, before we even get into the game, I got two more questions. I'm gonna ask you this question, then I'm gonna get your take on the game. This Alec Burks and Bojan nonsense that I gotta keep watching. It has to stop. They both suck. Alec Burks is dog shit. Bojan is trash. If Bojan is not getting his shot off, he gives me nothing else. Like nothing else. Alec Burks, there was one play today. He dribbling the ball. I'm in the stands like, pass the ball. The dude gets stuck in a double team. He throws the goddamn ball away. I hate his game. I swear to God, I hate his game. We could have kept Grimes for all of this. But with that said, do you agree with Leon Rose in that trade? And what is the context behind the trade? In a trade like that, you don't give up no first round picks, right? You only give up second round picks. You're still flexible.
Right.
Alec Burks is off the books this off season. Bojan, we still got him on the books this season for $22 million.
Right.
We had Bojan and Mitchell Robinson's contract together. I believe it's about $38 million or something like that. No, like $35 million, whatever. Right. So that's two contracts right now you got this summer that you can move in a deal. I don't want to trade Mitchell Robinson. I prefer to keep them both. Right. But if shit hit the fan, obviously, Bojan would be the first out the door.
Right.
How do you feel about this trade? Talk to me about it, and how do you feel about them progressing so far? Do you think they're getting acclimated to the system more and things of that nature? And talk about Bojan Burks real quick.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it was a trade, in my opinion, that needed. In my opinion, I felt it needed to be made, and I'll tell you why. I felt like the Knicks had an opportunity to make some noise in the playoffs if healthy. I was by myself at the time, was really concerned about the Knicks bench scoring. McBride, and we're not talking about the McBride right now. McBride at that time and Grimes, two young players, would have been leading the charge offensively for our second unit in the playoffs because Mitch is not an offensive player. Hart is not really. He can get you some points, but to me, that doesn't mean he's a scorer. He can hit a three, but that doesn't make him a shooter. So in the playoffs, we would be relying on young players to lead us in that second unit offensively. And young players are just inconsistent, and that's fine. It's not a knock on them. They're just inconsistent. I felt like if the Knicks were really trying to make some noise, they needed to get some veteran players, some veteran scoring on that bench. And I think that's what that was one of the reasons for the trade for Burks and Bogey. I think another one was getting off of Fournier and getting Bojan in getting Bojan in because maybe he would be a trade piece in the offseason than Fournier. I think Grimes being disgruntled was also part of it. though you could easily just sat him down and be like, look, relax yourself, But I think that, that was part of it. And I think the other part of it is the Knicks didn't want to go all in this year because there may have been other trades to be made. The Knicks weren't really trying to go all in with this team. I think they wanted to carry their flexibility to the summer, and do something. And I think Burks and Bojan was like a compromise between, all right, we're giving them some offense so they could do a little something this year, but we ain't really going all into until the summertime. Now, have they been what I thought they would be now that they're here? Hell no. No. Burks looking like the Energizer Bunny. He just coming in here. He looking like a video game, just all over the place. He's settling down a little bit these past few games. Bojan, yeah, he's not looking good. He's not looking good either. But you can argue that because of the injuries, we're expecting more of them than would be expected if our entire team was here. You can argue that they would probably be in better positions. Maybe, Randle or Brunson will be running with that second team to better, help Burks and Bojan, play better and be in different roles. So neither one of them is playing well right now. I'm not giving up on either one of them. I think they're going to be fine in the playoffs. But I think the Knicks needed to transition to veteran players. And I think the other thing that it does is it puts McBride in a position going into the playoffs, whereas he plays well, great. But if he doesn't, it's okay. He's a young player. That's just part of his process. Whereas if we didn't make those trades, we would be counting on McBride and Grimes. And I've said this, I can't tell you how many times. That's not a position to put your young players in where you're counting on them. Going into the playoffs last year, we're counting on Grimes. We're counting on Quickley. They're young players. It's inherent that they're going to be, inconsistent. This way, McBride is in his rightful place. He can grow without the pressure of he has to perform. So for all of those reasons, I'm okay with it. But I do agree with the Knick family. They're not playing well. They're not playing well. And if this is how they're going to play in the playoffs, we're in trouble. It's simple as because the Knicks did not go out and get a third point guard. They didn't do. So if this is how they're going to play in the playoffs, that bench is going to be mad raggedy. You know what I mean? It's we're in trouble. I'm holding out hope that they're going to play better in the playoffs, but I agree with you, State. Burks is not playing well. Bogey, first of all, Bogey looks worse now than when he first came. He looked worse now than he was playing better when he first came than he's playing now. He's deteriorating. So, yeah, I'm still holding out hope that they're going to be better in the playoffs.
7-man rotation. Take you down with him. Talk to me about the game though. What's up?
We struggled through 3 quarters. I'm gonna chalk that up to getting in Friday night and having to play a 1 p.m. game. But in that fourth quarter, we did our thing, and it was just good to see Devo, who's been struggling the past few games. It's just good to see him do his thing. Now, shout out to me, man. Shout out to me when we was talking about who do we think is gonna take a leap this season, and I said, you know what? I don't think Devo is at his ceiling. Everybody's like, oh, he a role player. What would you expect from him? I was like, he's been injured a lot. I've been reading that he was injured a lot. He may not have reached his ceiling. I remember saying that. And I think I picked him as my breakout guy. And he's been that. I kept pushing I was like, why is he not in the starting lineup over Grimes? He's a veteran. He, you know, he's confident. He's been in tough games, high leverage games. Why is he not in? And yes, there's a drop off defensively between him and Grimes. It's not a huge drop off. And what you're gaining offensively, I think is worth the drop off. And man, people was like, oh, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. This team played this many minutes. They plus this, plus that. After a while, Thibodeau said, you know what? Let's do it. And we never look back. Grimes ain't even on the team. You know, that being said, I will say, I would have liked if we could have strengthened our bench and kept Grimes and him being in that McBride position where if you come through for us, great. If you don't, it's cool. I would have liked to have kept him because I do think he's going to be a good NBA player. I just think we had him starting and we were expecting something from him that he just wasn't ready for yet. But I wish we could have kept him at the end of our rotation and still built up our bench.
Yo,
but you got to give to get.
Yeah, man. Shouts to everybody in the chat. Yo, you still be in touch with John John. John John, my God. So if it's the John John I'm thinking of, I went to college with my fault, Miss.
That's okay.
I went to college with John John. Shouts to my guy John John from the Bronx, man. Nah, I haven't, bro. Yo, when you get older in life, bro, like my circle of friends, like I probably see them like once a month because I'm always doing shit. So like as you get older, like you know, sometimes people got to come check on you. Sometimes people got to hit you up. I love when one of the bros randomly FaceTime me. Oh shit, you know I'm alive, bro. I'm alive. You don't need a favor or something. You good? You straight? So you know, it's a good feeling. Shout out to my guy John, man. With that said, Queen, talk to us about the game today. What did you see from the game today? When do you think Randle will be back? OG will be back? You know, and things of that nature. Knicks won today, by the way. We beat the hell out of the Brooklyn Nets. No, excuse me, New Jersey Nets. And Dante DiVincenzo, Big Pazza led the way with Josh Hart. Shout out to the Villanova boys.
Yeah, no doubt. No, I mean, I saw the grit of the Knicks. I saw Knicks go into the fourth quarter close and said, listen, we have an opportunity to get this third seed. And we might be tired. Our legs may not be fresh. Whatever it is, we got to get over it. We got to get these next 4 wins. And it starts right now in the fourth quarter. We got to get some separation, you know? And Devo went to work. Hart went to work. Hartenstein, we've been seeing a little bit more from him, offensively in terms of the pocket passes from Jalen Brunson. I just like the grit and the fight of this team. And they're aware that they can get the third seed. They're aware of where they are in the standings. So I like that. Also like the defense. They turned up the defensive intensity as well. You see them guys, they swarming. They're swarming. And, Brunson get a lot of heat for his defense, but he out there hustling too. He out there trying to get to his spots, as well. Guys may get past him, but it's not Olay. You know what I mean? He trying to move, to move his feet and keep them in front of them. So, I just saw the grit. I saw the grind. I saw the pickup in the defense. I saw DiVincenzo come through for us in the fourth quarter. I saw Josh Hart doing Josh Hart things. We were complaining about him early in the season. He just didn't look right, but he looked right now, So that's what I saw from the team. And, Tom Thibodeau, he's seeing something to go with basically we're going with a 4 guard. We're going 4 out. We're going with 4 guards and Hartenstein. And it's been working. I think we've won 5 of our last 5. So I'm really hopeful for Tibbs that he's going to deploy this rotation and the players that we have, based on the game, the situation, the series. I hope what we're seeing is just a prelude of what's to come in the playoffs.
Oh, great show.
Yeah, I
She's a great
appreciate you. I appreciate you. Let me tell you guys something. This 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 is what I appreciate about you, State.
mm,
You're gonna say you're gonna say what you need to say, how you need to say it on Twitter. And you keep it real and you keep it 100, whether people agree with you or not. But hopefully people don't take offense because a lot of times when you say things on Twitter or on your show, people characterize you a certain way, whatever that is, whoever they think you are. But man, I met State in person. This guy is smart, respectful, knowledgeable on the Knicks. So he not just, and that's fine for people who just give their opinions, but he gets into the stats as well. So he knows the Knicks, on that um level as well. And he's just a reminder not to get caught up in the personality or what you think the personality is behind a tweet or people when I first came into this community. Oh, you're such a negative Nancy. You're such a this, that. And so people characterize you a certain way. But when you meet State, and I've met other people in this community as well, it's different. So I guess what I'm trying to say is let's separate who you think the person is on social media or on these channels and on these shows for who they really are. Same thing with Paris Duggar. Tight. When I was doing the morning show, every morning he had me tight, coming in with the Randle, all caps, Randle and Tibbs giving me the business. This was a stupid. This is this. That. I met him at Legends when MBK, shout out to Sim, had an event. We just sitting there breaking bread, me and Paris Duggar, having a great conversation. So I didn't hold it against them. Like, who? Paris Duggar. Oh man, this the caps guy. It's the guy always handling. Oh man, he want to sit here at the table. I understand the difference, between what we doing here and on these channels and on Twitter and who we are and our heart as people. So State, I appreciate you. I'm happy you got this channel. Keep doing your thing, keep being you. For me, be yourself. You're going to find your tribe. You can't be everything to everybody. Be yourself, find your tribe. That's how I approach what I do on my channel. I'm going to be myself. The people who like the way I give it up, the people who connect with me and resonate with how I say it, those are the people that's going to keep listening. The others are going to find one of the 100 other content creators that the Knicks have. Find your tribe and leave the rest. And the last thing I'm going to say, stop dropping in people's chat with the negativity. If you don't like the way this content creator is giving it up, move on to somebody else. Like when you go to the all-you-can-eat Chinese buffet, you not calling the manager because they put beef and broccoli on the buffet. You just move to the egg foo young because you don't like beef and broccoli. I think it's the same thing with the content creators. It's so many of us. Find who you like. You like the way they give it up. You like whatever you like about them. Those are the people you follow because time is limited. And the other ones, there's no need to drop into their chat with negativity. Just move on. Move on to the next. But I appreciate you, State. I appreciate the chat. This community has been amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Oh, Miss Queen, I'm gonna let
Mhm.
you get out of here.
And y'all,
Uh,
listen, subscribe to my channel, Dope Soul
yes.
Sports and Knicks Talk. Go to YouTube, right up in the I'm gonna drop the link, also because I didn't even complete my description for the show. I just started it, but just go to the search bar, put in Dope Soul Sports and Knicks Talk. I'm gonna come up, subscribe to the channel.
With that said, Miss Queen, I want to let you get out of here. I want you to leave Knick fans with something positive about life. not even about Knicks, was something that you could teach us about life, and also, you know, plug in anything that you got going on. I know you got a show coming up. I want people to know where they could find you and anything else that you got going on. But please, the floor is yours, Miss Stephanie. And thank you once again for coming, Queen. I appreciate it. And
Of
taking to my
course.
cousin because he allowed me to get the extra
Shout out
room.
to your cousin.
I
That's the
appreciate
guy
him.
who walked through earlier. Shout out to him.
Yeah. So,
I'm gonna be in there tomorrow. I'm gonna do my best to come by tomorrow.
all right, I got you, man. I got you. But the
For
floor is
those,
yours, Miss Queen.
for those who don't know, I am a mental health professional. I'm a psychiatric nurse practitioner. I'm also a psychologist, and one of the things that resonates with me is people telling your truth and living your truth. Like I just told State, you can't be everything to everybody. It took me decades. I probably was in my 34 before I really became comfortable with who I am, because I was always bigger than everybody. I grew up in the 70s, darker than everybody. That's when dark wasn't, that wasn't a hip thing, in the early 70s. And I have big energy, you know. Um, and it took me probably until my 30s before I said, you know what? I gotta be who I am, and the people that rock with me is the people that's gonna rock with me, and the people that don't are the people who don't, but I gotta create space in my life to be who I am. And I would say that to everybody: be who you are. You're not gonna be able to please everybody. You can't be everything to everybody. Be yourself, be who you are, tell your truth. And when I say tell your truth, not in terms of speaking, but you tell your truth by how you live your life. If I see you going to the gym, you telling your truth. You an athlete. You like to work out. If I see you on the beach and you surfing or whatever, you telling your truth. You a surfer. Life is short. Life is short. Figure out who and what is important to you. Rock with that and leave the rest. So many people spending their personal resources, which to me is your time, energy, and money, on people and things that don't even matter. Oh, so and so got her car this taken and repossessed, and this, like, yo, that's important. Lucy down the street, or whoever she is, focus on who you are and what's important to you, and leave the rest. Enjoy your life. Enjoy your life, because at some point it's over, man. At some point it's over. And the last thing, and I'm gonna be in Miami for my birthday, April 2nd, watching the Knicks. If you in the Miami area, hit me up. If you want to go out to dinner before the Miami game, or if you're gonna be in the building, hit me up with your section, so that we can meet up, and have a good time. That's all I got, State.
I appreciate you, Queen.
I appreciate you.
Appreciate you, Queen. Appreciate that, man. That makes me feel good, man. This is why
Be,
I keep pushing, man.
yeah,
I
be
keep,
yourself. Ain't nobody gonna lie. You don't need pom poms. People clapping, and in order for you to be yourself, just be it.
thank you so much, and thank you to the Knicks fans. 498 people in here. It's 11:56. You kidding
Yes,
me?
yeah. Listen, my subs better go up by at least 20. At least I'm at 1780. I better be at 1800 when I wake up in the morning.
Man, with that said, man, peace out, Queen. My phone is dead, so I can't even respond to nobody right now. They write you something on Twitter saying great show, this after, but I love what you brought today. I didn't know you was a basketball coach. That explains a lot. And shout out to the chat too. You guys was great all day today.
Yeah, the chat was on fire.
On fire. They still on fire. And
Yeah,
all you guys is what's motivated me to just be better at what I do. I started writing Substack articles. I'm a
awesome.
good host, merch. I'm trying to do everything. I'm trying to do everything because I'm trying to be a GOAT, a legend. I want to be bigger than CP. I like
There you
CP.
go. That's what I'm talking about.
I want to be bigger than everybody. I want to be the top dog, but I want to do it being myself.
That's the only way to do it.
Yes.
Then you know everybody that's rocking with you is real.
Yes, absolutely. This is why I don't charge. Once again, you go. Make sure y'all go to Dope Soul Sports Talk and please subscribe to Miss Stephanie, aka Queen Page. Make sure you go subscribe to Nothing But Knicks podcast.
Yep.
And once again, last but not least, before I get out of here and put out the outro music, shout outs to you, Miss Queen. I don't charge for nothing. You will never have to pay to read a Reddit post or Substack post or any type of post. I watch other Knick content creators, and I'm not trying to throw shade, but I watch these dudes ask Knicks fans to pay for shit that should be free. Why am I asking a fan who got 4 to 5 kids, probably on welfare, wake up 5 in the fucking morning, hey, I need to take $4 for you to read this whole article, when this person can fucking go Google the same story for free? So why would I charge people for that? That's ridiculous. So like, I'm about showing love. My pops wouldn't want me to show love. So this is why I've been acting the way I've been acting. Once again, Steph, this was a great show. This was glory to God, by the grace of God. And with that said, man, let's cue this outro music. Once again, 501 people. It's 11:59 at night. Numbers. Make sure y'all subscribe too, man. Don't forget. God damn it.